Our third speaker this morning is Jack Kantola. Jack joined Toastmasters for the first time in 1970 in Forest City, Iowa. Get all over it. Jack has belonged to 5 different clubs in 5 different districts. He started the Tri-City Achievers Club in Orange County in 1981, and he mentored several clubs. He served as area governor of Founders District in 83 and 84. He is continually impressed with the impact Toastmasters has on our lives. Fulfilling assignment 2 in the Confident Communicator Manual, Organize Your Speech. The title of his speech is Experience the Power of Toastmasters. Speaking for 6 to 8 minutes, Jack Kantola.
An amazing thing happened last week. My niece Rachel, the veterinarian in Aurora, Illinois, emailed me and said, "Uncle Jack, I need some advice. We found out, I determined that I need to improve my ability to lead and communicate." Mr. Toastmaster, most welcome guest, fellow Toastmasters. How do you think I should have responded? Not a clue, right? Well, my obvious response was to send her a couple of books and also a link to the Toastmasters Club in her area. And hopefully she'll take that advice and make something of it. But as I went through this process, my thoughts went back to a speech that I did a number of years ago, like almost 30 years ago, that talked about how do we connect to that power of Toastmasters, and the incredible power there is if we make that connection. And the analogy I used then was based on a story that my father told me when we were fishing one spring on the Prairie River in northern Minnesota. And we were sitting on this beautiful sunny spring day, and we looked up and saw a flight of geese going over in their V formation. And I, in my youthful ignorance, asked my dad, "Why do they fly in a V formation?" And he took that cue and taught me the lessons of a flight of geese. And he said they fly that way because they can fly faster and farther by working together than they can if they flew individually. The lift that each goose gives the other one in that flight enables them to get farther and to get there faster. Now I thought, isn't that true in Toastmasters as well? Can you imagine, now think for a second, how would you be progressing as a communicator and a leader if you were doing it on your own? Do you think you would get there as fast as if you were a part of a Toastmasters club? To have that synergy, that true synergy of an organization of people that have the same goal, working together, it adds power. We get there faster. That flight of geese, that V formation, when we look up and see it in the sky, is a demonstration of a Toastmasters club. The second thing about that flight of geese that my dad taught me was that they have a goal. That flight of geese actually knows which lake in Canada or northern Minnesota or wherever they are flying to that spring. They have a destination in mind. As Toastmasters, shouldn't we have a destination in mind as well? And most of us in the Toastmasters organization are given goal possibilities, like becoming a competent communicator, becoming an advanced communicator, bronze, silver, and gold, and then ultimately becoming a distinguished Toastmaster. Those are great goals. And they're wonderful goals to have, but you know something? Having a DTM isn't going to get you any more money. So what we do a lot of times when we go to school, our goal is to get a degree or a diploma. In Toastmasters, our goal is to become a DTM. But our goal really ought to be becoming a better communicator and becoming a better leader. That's what's going to get us the value in life. That's what's going to help us achieve the things that we want to achieve in life. That's what's going to help us to be successful in our careers. To have that goal, to understand where we're going. Stephen Covey talks about it. He says, begin with the end in mind. You know, if you're going someplace, the first thing you need to know is where you are And the second thing you need to know is where you're going, and you need to create a plan to get there. The third lesson that my dad taught me about that flight of geese is they're committed. You know, once they start and they leave that winter home down in the south, head north, they don't stop. Other than for the night, they don't quit their journey until they reach that goal. You know, in the flight of geese flying over Kansas thinking, oh hell, this is hard, let's just stop here. You know? But you know, we as human beings, we do that. We do that. I mean, Wendy talked about it in her speech, is that we tend to give up because it becomes too hard, or because we think it's impossible. And that flight of geese continues their flight until they've reached that goal. Having that commitment, the willingness, the persistence to carry through until you reach a conclusion. You know, they say that the most important attribute of successful people is persistence. It's not intelligence. It's not that diploma that you have. It's the willingness to do whatever is necessary to achieve the result. You know, the other thing in the fourth lesson my dad taught us about that flight of geese was that geese at the front has the hardest job, the one at the point. And when that goose gets tired, it falls back into the flight of geese and another goose moves up and takes its place. They share the burden of leadership. They share the pain of leadership and the joy of being at the top of leadership. That's something we do in Toastmasters as well. As a president of a club, you're president for 6 months. And if we can talk you into it, you're president for a year. But at some point in time, you say, it's enough, I need to get back into the flight. That doesn't mean that you leave Toastmasters, it just means that you assume a different role. And so that's an important factor as well in Toastmasters, that we need to share that role of leadership. We need to be willing to step up and assume the position at the point of the V. Roxanne and I talked about it this morning, and her decision to become the president of Toastmasters Club was based on the speech that I gave a long time ago, the same speech. And understanding that you can't just constantly be sitting at the back of the pack. You've got to move up to the front at some point in time. The fifth lesson my dad taught me was that in that flight of geese, if a goose gets ill or it gets injured, it has to fall out of the flight of geese, another goose always stays with it. And isn't that what we should do in Toastmasters as well? If somebody gets up here and does a bad job of the speech, they falter and fall, we shouldn't discard them. We should give them encouragement. We should support them and help them to continue to grow. Nurture that relationship. That's why we have mentors in the club. So that we have somebody that can give us advice and can help us to support us and promote our growth. So staying, that flight of geese gives us another lesson, is that if somebody is having problems faltering, support them. You don't have to be a mentor. Give them a phone call. Send them an email. Let them know that you think that they can achieve what they want to achieve. The final lesson, the sixth lesson my dad taught me, was that honking you hear as the flight of geese goes overhead isn't just noise. It's the geese at the back of the flight of geese that are honking encouragement to the people at the front, the geese at the front. You know, and isn't that what we do in Toastmasters? What we do call that applause, the feedback forms that we have. We're supporting each other and encouraging each other all the time to help us make and take advantage of that synergy. I have no doubt that my niece will be successful. She's a hard worker, she's sincere, she'll make it. But I also have no doubt that she'll get there a lot faster and go a lot further if she plugs into the power of Toastmasters.